100 toxic life lessons that actually made my life so much better. Some truths are so uncomfortable, so raw, that society labels them as toxic. We are told to reject them, to bury them under layers of politeness and positive thinking. But what if some of these toxic lessons are the very keys to freedom? What if, instead of ruining us, they could refine us? I have lived through them, wrestled with them, and emerged stronger. And in this video, I want to share them with you, not to shock you, but to liberate you. If you stay with me until the end, you might just find yourself letting go of illusions you never knew were holding you back. Here's the first one: not everyone deserves your empathy. Harsh? Maybe. But the truth is, empathy is a powerful currency, and like all currencies, it must be spent wisely. There are people who weaponize your kindness, who drain your energy with their chaos while offering nothing in return. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." Sometimes that means walking away in silence, not because you do not care, but because you finally do about yourself. Second, chasing happiness will make you miserable. We have been sold the idea that happiness is a destination, a prize to be won after enough hustle and enough healing. But Seneca warned us that no wind is favorable to the sailor who does not know where he is going. When you chase happiness, you make it conditional. And conditional joy is fragile. True peace comes not from chasing, but from choosing presence, choosing simplicity, choosing meaning over mood. Third, people only treat you as poorly as you allow them to. That lesson hit me hard. For years, I made excuses for bad behavior. I mistook loyalty for patience. But Epictetus said, "You are a soul carrying a corpse. And that soul, that dignity, must never be compromised for the sake of belonging." Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks. And you decide who has the key. Fourth, being selfish is sometimes the most generous thing you can do. I used to believe that putting others first was the highest virtue. But I burned out. I resented the people I tried so hard to help. That is not love, it is martyrdom. Stoicism teaches us that if you do not take care of your own mind, your own path, your own peace, then what you give others is only your leftover exhaustion. Serve from your overflow, not your emptiness. Fifth, not all relationships are meant to be healed. Closure is a myth. Some people are chapters, not lifetimes. You do not need to revisit every wound or reconcile every ending. Seneca advised us to remove ourselves from harmful influences, not negotiate with them. Healing is not always about mending. Sometimes it is about releasing with grace, without fanfare, without explanation. Sixth, success will cost you people. As you grow, you will notice the silence. Fewer calls. Fewer congratulations. Some friends will turn distant, even bitter. Why? Because your evolution reminds them of their stagnation. And that is not your burden to carry. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Let them go. Your path is yours alone. Seventh, life is not fair, and expecting it to be is a setup for bitterness. Children say, that is not fair, but adults who stay stuck in that mindset remain victims forever. Epictetus said, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. You cannot control the hand you are dealt, but you can control the game you play. Real strength begins when you stop demanding fairness and start demanding discipline from yourself. Eighth, you are not as special as you think, and that is liberating. We live in a world obsessed with uniqueness. But believing you are uniquely flawed, uniquely misunderstood, uniquely behind is just ego in disguise. When you realize that your struggles are not new, your pain is not rare, you become connected. You stop isolating and start participating in life in effort and humility. Marcus wrote, "What happens to one man happens to all. You are not alone." And that truth is not depressing, it is unifying. Ninth, hope can be a dangerous drug. Yes, hope keeps us alive. But false hope keeps us stuck. Waiting for change, for someone else to fix things for someday. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Hope without action becomes fantasy. Replace it with faith in your capacity to adapt, to move forward even when outcomes are uncertain. And finally, 10, sometimes it is not trauma you are healing from, it is laziness. I say that with compassion, not judgment. Because I have been there. I labeled every delay, every doubt, every avoidance as emotional blockage. But many times, it was just comfort disguised as pain. Stoicism does not indulge in endless self-minus analysis. It says, do the work. Begin. There is no perfect mood, no perfect moment. Just the next step. If any of these lessons stirred something in you, share this with someone who needs it. Let it start a conversation, the kind that changes not just how you think, but how you live. Some lessons do not announce themselves with clarity. They arrive disguised as bitterness, as cynicism, as the kind of advice that makes people uncomfortable. But in time, those are the very lessons that save you from naivety, from burnout, from losing yourself trying to please the world. Here are 10 more called toxic truths that turned my life around. Lesson 11. Loyalty has an expiration date. Holding on too long is not loyalty, it is fear of change. I used to think walking away made me weak, ungrateful, even heartless. But Epictetus taught us that we must examine the nature of our attachments. If the relationship, the job, the friendship no longer aligns with your values, it is not betrayal to leave, it is betrayal to stay silent and stagnant. Honor what was, but do not sacrifice what could be. Lesson 12. People do not owe you understanding. That one stung. I wanted to be seen, to be heard, to be explained. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Your story is sacred, but it is not always meant to be understood by everyone. Some will misinterpret it. Some will distort it. That does not make it less true. Let your peace come from self-respect, not external validation. Lesson 13. Working while broken is not weakness, it is resilience. I used to feel ashamed for pushing through pain. The culture said, rest. Heal. Do nothing until you are whole. But healing is not linear. And sometimes the very act of showing up despite the ache is what rebuilds you. Seneca wrote, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Movement is not denial. It is devotion to life, to growth, to the version of you that refuses to stay down. Lesson 14. Sometimes you are the villain in someone else's story. And that is okay. We all have moments we regret, words we wish we could take back, choices that shaped someone else's pain. But clinging to guilt forever does not make you noble. It makes you stuck. Stoicism teaches acceptance of imperfection. What matters is not who you were, but who you are choosing to become. Forgive yourself as often as needed, but only if you are willing to grow from it. Lesson 15. You cannot save people who enjoy drowning. That sounds cruel, I know. But I have exhausted myself trying to rescue those who had no desire to change. They wanted sympathy, not solutions. And in that process, I lost pieces of myself. Marcus Aurelius warned, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Your job is not to carry others against their will. It is to lead by example and protect your peace. Lesson 16. Being unbothered is a superpower. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every insult needs defending. I used to chase closure, explanations, approval. But I realize the more I react, the more I give away my power. Seneca wrote, "If you are irritated by every rub, how will you be polished? Life will test you. Let it. Just do not let it unravel you." Lesson 17. Sometimes, letting go looks like doing absolutely nothing. We are addicted to fixing, explaining, mending. But some things resolve themselves when we simply stop touching them. Silence is not weakness, it is clarity. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." And sometimes doing nothing is the most aligned action there is. Lesson 18. Not everyone grows at the same pace, and you will outgrow people. That used to feel like betrayal too. I thought love meant growing together, side by side. But the truth is, your evolution will feel like abandonment to those who have stopped evolving. And that is not your fault. Keep growing anyway. Keep rising anyway. Do not shrink so others can feel tall. As Marcus Aurelius advised, live in harmony with the nature of your growth, not the expectations of others. Lesson 19. You are allowed to want more. More peace. More space. More silence. Wanting more is not greed, it is honesty. For too long, I convinced myself to be content with less in the name of humility. But contentment without truth becomes complacency. Seneca urged us to examine not just what we have, but what we have settled for. Ask yourself, is this truly enough, or is it just familiar? And lesson 20. Anger is not always the enemy. Sometimes, it is the fire that wakes you up. I used to fear my anger, suppress it, spiritualize it away. But Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And part of mastery is learning to listen to your anger, not obey it blindly, but understand its message. Sometimes, your anger is saying, "This is not right." Listen to it. Then decide with clarity how to act, not react. If these lessons echoed something you have felt but never voiced, share this with someone who needs the courage to see things differently. Sometimes one uncomfortable truth can set you free. Some lessons do not whisper, they roar. They come in the form of heartbreaks, betrayals, and quiet mornings where you wonder how everything fell apart. But those are the moments when the mask of politeness falls away, and life speaks to you in raw, unfiltered truths. These truths may sound toxic to the comfortable, but to the awakened, they are oxygen. Here are 10 more. Lesson 20-1. Your feelings are valid, but not always accurate. I used to worship every emotion that passed through me. If I felt offended, someone must have wronged me. If I felt insecure, the world must be unfair. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that our minds, not events, shape our suffering. Emotions are visitors, they knock, but you choose whether to let them stay. Maturity is learning to feel without obeying, to observe without identifying. Lesson 20-2. Sometimes, you need to isolate to elevate. Solitude is not punishment, it is purification. I remember seasons of my life when I withdrew, not out of depression, but out of necessity. Epictetus said, "The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it, and sometimes the greatest difficulty is facing yourself without distraction." Isolation teaches you who you are when no one is watching. Lesson 20-3. Perfectionism is procrastination in disguise. I used to believe I was just being careful, waiting for the right time, the perfect version of my ideal. But underneath it all was fear of judgment, of failure, of not being good enough. Seneca warned that life is not short, but we waste much of it. Perfection is a moving target. Progress is the only real victory. Lesson 20 minus for people do not change because of advice, they change because of consequences. That was a painful one. I poured wisdom into people who were not ready. I wrote paragraphs to explain what one painful moment could have taught them better. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone face the results of their own choices. Lesson 20-5, it is not your job to be liked. That need, that hunger for approval, it will cost you your authenticity. I remember twisting myself into versions that felt more acceptable, more agreeable, more digestible. But in doing so, I diluted my truth. Epictetus reminded us to care more about our own moral purpose than about others' opinions. The most dangerous prison is the one you build with other people's expectations. Lesson 20-6, your trauma is not your identity. Yes, it shaped you, but it does not define you. I held onto mine like a badge proof of survival, reason for my struggles. But after a while, it became a cage. Seneca taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. You are more than what hurt you. Your scars are reminders of healing, not signs of weakness. Lesson 20-7, love is not supposed to hurt all the time. I used to romanticize pain, thinking that the more I suffered for someone, the deeper the love. But that is not love. That is attachment to dysfunction. Marcus Aurelius urged us to live in harmony with nature. Love in its healthiest form brings peace, not chaos. It lifts, it steadies. It does not destroy you to keep you close. Lesson 20-8, outgrowing people does not make you disloyal. It makes you honest. I remember the guilt I felt when old friends no longer fit into my present. But truthfully, what once connected us had faded. Epictetus said we become what we give our attention to. If your values have shifted, so will your connections. Honor the past, but walk with those who match your future. Lesson 20-9, effort is not love. Some people will do the bare minimum and expect a medal. Others will give their all and call it love, even when it comes from fear or insecurity. Seneca reminded us that intentions without wisdom lead to suffering. Effort matters, but it must be aligned with care, with respect, with responsibility. Do not confuse desperation with devotion. And lesson 30, you cannot heal in the same environment that broke you. That is not always about people. Sometimes it is habits, routines, beliefs that once felt normal but are now suffocating. Marcus Aurelius spoke often of nature, how things grow best in the conditions meant for them. Healing requires new soil, new sun, new space. If it costs you your comfort, so be it. Peace is always worth the discomfort of change. If these reflections stirred something inside you, pass it on. Not everyone is ready to hear these truths, but someone out there is starving for exactly this kind of freedom. Some truths are so disruptive, they sound like betrayal. Betrayal of what we were taught, what we wanted to believe, what comforted us. But growth is rarely comfortable. In fact, it often begins when comfort ends. The following lessons might sound cold to the unready ear, but they are warmth for those tired of illusions. Lesson 30-1. If someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I used to give people the benefit of the doubt over and over, ignoring patterns, romanticizing potential. But Marcus Aurelius warned against self-minus deception. Do not be overheard complaining. Not even to yourself. Truth is not cruel. It is clarity. And clarity, however painful, is the foundation of peace. Lesson 30-, to not everyone who leaves is a loss. Some exits are blessings in disguise. I remember grieving over people who never truly saw me, who drained more than they gave. Epictetus said when someone is properly grounded in life, they should not have to look outside themselves for approval. Let them go. What is meant for you will never require you to beg. Lesson 30-3 Ambition can be a mask for insecurity. For years I chased goals not because I wanted them, but because I feared being average. I feared insignificance. But Seneca asked, what is the worth of a long life if it is filled only with the superficial? When ambition is rooted in lack, no achievement will satisfy. Real success begins with enough-ness, not with arrival, but with alignment. Lesson 30- for forgiving someone does not mean trusting them again. That was a hard one to accept. I believed forgiveness meant restoration. But Marcus Aurelius taught, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. Forgiveness is about freeing your own mind, not reopening the door. Trust is earned. Forgiveness is given. And they are not the same. Lesson 30-5 Your parents might never understand you, and that is okay. I carried that weight for years. The desire to be seen, to be accepted by those who raised me. But sometimes they loved the version of me that made them comfortable, not the one that made me whole. Epictetus said we must accept what is beyond our control. You can love them and release the need to be validated by them. Lesson 30-6 Not everything deserves a reaction. I used to believe silence was weakness. That I had to clap back, correct the lie, defend my honor. But I learned silence is not surrender, it is strategy. Seneca wrote, he who does not prevent a wrong when he can is himself guilty, but prevention is not always noise. Sometimes the strongest boundary is indifference. Peace is louder than pride. Lesson 30-7 Wanting more does not make you ungrateful. That lesson freed me. I confused contentment with settling. But Marcus Aurelius lived with minimalism, not mediocrity. He pursued virtue and truth relentlessly. Gratitude does not mean inaction. It means honoring what you have while still reaching for what you can become. You can love your life and still want to improve it. Lesson 30-8 Your reputation is not your responsibility. Let that one sink in. We spend years curating an image respectable, likable, untouchable. But in truth, people will see you through the lens of their own fears and projections. Epictetus said, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Live your life with integrity. Let the rest be noise. Lesson 30-9 Self-love without self-discipline is self-sabotage. I used to call every indulgence self-care, every avoidance protecting my peace, but real love holds you accountable. Seneca believed virtue was the highest good, not comfort. Self-love is saying no to short-term pleasure in service of long-term peace. Discipline is the language of deep, enduring love for your future self. And lesson 40 Closure is a self-given gift. I used to chase apologies that never came, explanations that never made sense. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, do not hanker after what you do not have. Closure is not a conversation. It is a decision. A quiet, firm reclaiming of your power. You do not need their words to set yourself free. You only need your own. If this stirred something unspoken inside you, do not keep it to yourself. Share it. These truths are not weapons, they are mirrors. And someone out there is ready to see their reflection clearly, maybe for the first time. The truth has a strange way of unsettling us before it sets us free. Often, it sounds offensive before it sounds wise. But there is beauty in this discomfort. It means something in you is shifting, expanding, awakening. These next lessons are not here to entertain. They are here to awaken what you already know deep down, but have been afraid to admit. Lesson 40-1: being tired is not always a signal to rest, it is often a signal to realign. I spent years treating my exhaustion with sleep, with vacations, with distractions. But the fatigue always returned. Until I realized I was not physically tired. I was spiritually misaligned. Marcus Aurelius said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them." When your soul is out of sync with your daily life, no amount of rest will fix it. You need purpose, not just pause. Lesson 40-2: positivity can be a form of denial. I used to smile through pain, recite affirmations while avoiding accountability. I thought optimism meant ignoring darkness. But Seneca wrote that the wise man sees things as they are, not worse, not better. Positivity without presence becomes poison. True strength is being able to sit with what is not just what you wish it were. Lesson 40-3: sometimes the best apology is changed behavior, even if no words are spoken. We wait for the right script, the perfect timing. But Marcus taught us that the fruit of philosophy is good conduct. Words fade. Patterns speak. Do not waste your breath convincing anyone you have changed. Let your life speak louder than your defense. Lesson 40- for closure is not the end of a story, it is the start of a boundary. I used to think closure meant peace between two people. But more often, it means peace within one. Epictetus reminded us that expectations breed resentment. True closure is not mutual. It is personal. It begins the moment you stop needing their permission to move on. Lesson 40-5: strength is not the absence of emotion. It is the discipline to master it. I once believed being stoic meant feeling nothing. But Marcus Aurelius wept for his loved ones, even as he ruled an empire. Stoicism does not suppress feeling, it trains you to direct it. To use grief as fuel, anger as clarity, and love as compass. Emotions are tools, not tyrants. Lesson 40-6: comparison is a thief, not just of joy but of focus. I used to measure my life by the pace of others. Their milestones became my mirror. But Seneca warned against living according to the opinions of the crowd. You are not behind. You are not early. You are on your path, and no one else's map matters. Look inward. That is where your truth lies. Lesson 40-7: entitlement is the enemy of resilience. The world does not owe you ease, fairness, or applause. I had to unlearn the idea that effort guarantees reward. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather wish that what happens happen the way it happens." That is how peace is found, not in control, but in cooperation with life's unpredictability. Lesson 40-8: letting people misunderstand you is a superpower. I used to defend every rumor, correct every assumption. It drained me. Until I learned that not everyone deserves access to your truth. Marcus reminded himself daily, be indifferent to what makes no difference. Your peace is too expensive to spend on opinions that do not pay you in growth. Lesson 40-9: honesty without kindness is cruelty, and kindness without honesty is manipulation. I used to swing between brutal truth and silent tolerance. But Stoicism teaches balance. Speak truth with compassion. Set boundaries with grace. Not to control others, but to remain in integrity with yourself. And lesson 50: you will never outgrow the need for self-discipline. No matter how much you heal, how wise you become, how spiritual you feel, discipline remains your anchor. Seneca said, "No man is free who is a slave to his passions." Discipline is not punishment. It is protection of your peace, your goals, your potential. If these lessons pulled something real from the corners of your memory or the silence of your present, let them live beyond this video. Share them. Reflect on them. Let them reshape how you show up in your life, not with fear, but with fierce honesty. The deeper you go into truth, the more it strips away what you thought you needed. Illusions fall. Masks crack. And what remains is not bitterness but clarity. It is a strange kind of peace that comes when you stop lying to yourself, even if the truth stings. The next lessons may sound harsh, but they hold a strange kind of mercy, the mercy of liberation. Lesson 50-1. Not everyone who says I love you knows how to love you. I used to think words meant everything, that declarations were enough. But love is not what is spoken. It is what is lived. Seneca wrote, "Love in its essence is spiritual fire, and fire, when not handled with care, burns." Love that lacks respect, consistency, or presence is not love. It is longing dressed up in poetry. Lesson 50-2. You are not responsible for anyone's happiness. That weight will break you. I carried it for years, trying to fix everyone, to keep the peace, to be the reason they smiled. But Epictetus said only the educated are free, and freedom means letting go of the illusion that you are the source of someone else's emotional world. Offer love, yes. Offer support. But never offer yourself as a replacement for their self-respect. Lesson 50-3. Routine is more powerful than motivation. I used to wait for inspiration. Wait for the perfect mood, the right song, the sunrise to feel ready. But Marcus Aurelius woke before dawn and reminded himself at dawn. When you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself I am rising to do the work of a human being. You do not need motivation. You need systems. Discipline is more reliable than emotion. Lesson 50- for emotional intelligence includes knowing when to walk away. I used to believe emotional maturity meant staying calm in the face of dysfunction. That if I were really healed, nothing would disturb me. But sometimes, wisdom looks like leaving. Seneca said, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Growth does not always mean enduring, it often means exiting. Lesson 50-5. Ambition without inner peace is a form of slavery. I chased milestones thinking they would quiet the storm inside. But each achievement only amplified the noise. Epictetus warned, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. If your success costs you your serenity, it is not success, it is sacrifice at the wrong altar. Lesson 50-6. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. That was a tough pill. I used to blame others for crossing lines I never clearly drew. But boundaries are not just self-scare, they are instruction manuals. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire with dignity. You rule your space the same way, not through force, but through the quiet consistency of what you allow and what you walk away from. Lesson 50-7. Loneliness is often the price of authenticity. When you stop conforming, when you stop people-pleasing, when you finally say, this is who I am, some people will walk away. Let them. Epictetus taught detachment from approval. He said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Solitude is not emptiness. It is space for becoming. Lesson 50-8. Some opportunities are distractions in disguise. I used to say yes to everything, every invitation, every project, every shiny offer. But not all movement is progress. Seneca said, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Success requires focus. And focus requires the courage to say no even to good things in order to say yes to the right thing. Lesson 50-9. You do not have to explain your growth to people committed to misunderstanding it. I wasted breath on explanations, clarifications, hoping for understanding that never came. But Marcus Aurelius knew life is too short to argue with closed minds. You are allowed to evolve in silence. You do not need applause to confirm your direction. And lesson 60, not everything that ends is a failure. I used to see every goodbye, every unfinished chapter, as a mark against me. But Epictetus said, circumstances do not make the man, they only reveal him. Endings are not punishments. They are portals. Sometimes, the most successful thing you can do is walk away with your dignity intact. If even one of these truths felt like a mirror, take a moment. Sit with it. Let it unsettle you. That discomfort is not punishment, it is transformation beginning. Truth does not always come dressed in comfort. Sometimes it arrives as disappointment, as rejection, as silence. But underneath those rough exteriors are the teachings that shape your character. These next 10 lessons may sound hard, even offensive, but they are not meant to wound. They are meant to awaken. Lesson 60-1, trying to prove your worth is the fastest way to forget it. I spent years chasing validation through performance, through achievements, through perfection. But Marcus Aurelius warned against this need for recognition. Ambition means tying your well-minded being to what other people say or do. The moment you begin performing for approval, you abandon your authenticity. Real worth needs no stage. Lesson 60- to being a nice person does not make you a good person. I used to pride myself on being agreeable, polite, accommodating. But often, it came at the cost of my own truth. Seneca wrote, "He who does not prevent a crime when he can encourages it. Kindness without courage is not virtue, it is avoidance." Goodness requires boundaries. It requires truth spoken, even when your voice trembles. Lesson 60-3, closure is not waiting, it is deciding. I used to sit in emotional limbo, hoping for resolution from others. But peace is not given. It is chosen. Epictetus said, if you want to be free, do not wish for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do. You can stop waiting now. You can stop rereading the same chapter. Freedom begins the moment you choose it. Lesson 60- for silence is a weapon, and it can be violent. I used to excuse people who withdrew affection, who punished me with distance. I called it emotional immaturity. But Marcus Aurelius knew that injustice, even in silence, is still injustice. Love communicates. Love confronts. Silence, when used to control, is not peace, it is manipulation. Pay attention to what is not said. It speaks loudly. Lesson 60-5, people-pleasing is a form of dishonesty. I did not see it that way at first. I thought I was just keeping the peace, being flexible. But really I was lying. I was hiding my needs, my truth, my voice. Seneca taught that integrity is alignment between what you think, what you say, and what you do. People-pleasing is often self-minus betrayal in a friendly costume. Lesson 60-6, just because someone is family does not mean they are safe. That was a heartbreaking one. I held on to blood ties out of duty, out of fear, out of guilt. But Epictetus said we must never place loyalty above truth. If someone consistently disrespects you, manipulates you, or diminishes you, it is not love. And calling it family does not make it sacred. Lesson 60-7, sometimes your biggest growth happens when you stop talking about it. I used to announce every new goal, every mindset shift. But Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, not on a stage. Growth is quiet. It is slow. It is invisible at first. Let your actions speak. Let your habits reflect the transformation. You do not need to explain what is already becoming obvious. Lesson 60-8, some people love the idea of you, not the reality of you. I learned that the hard way. They loved my light but resented my boundaries. They loved my empathy but recoiled at my assertiveness. Seneca reminded us that love must be whole or it is not love. Do not shrink to fit someone's fantasy. You are not a character in someone else's script. Lesson 60-9, needing to be understood is often a trap. I used to exhaust myself explaining over explaining, rewriting my truth to sound more palatable. But Epictetus taught that freedom comes from detachment. You do not owe everyone access to your process. Let your life speak for itself. Let misunderstanding become your teacher in letting go. In Lesson 70, the person you needed most often becomes the person you must become. I used to wait for someone to save me, to see me, to guide me. But Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." You are who you have been waiting for. Be your own anchor. Be your own home. If these lessons crack something open in you, that is good. Let it crack. That is where the light enters. That is where change begins, not through comfort but through courage. The truth once seen cannot be unseen. It lingers. It gnaws. It whispers at night when the world is quiet. And some truths, especially the ones labeled toxic, are the ones that finally push you to evolve. They burn away your illusions, yes, but what remains is real. What remains is you. The next 10 lessons are not for the faint of heart, but they are for the brave of soul. Lesson 70-1, someone else's peace is not your responsibility to protect at the cost of your own. I spent too long walking on eggshells, adjusting my truth to make others more comfortable. But Marcus Aurelius reminded us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Peace built on suppression is not peace, it is quiet suffering. Real peace does not demand your silence. Lesson 70-2, you do not rise by pulling others up who refuse to stand. I confused loyalty with sacrifice. I thought love meant never leaving anyone behind. But Epictetus warned against wasting effort on the unwilling. It is noble to help, but it is wise to discern when help becomes enabling. If someone is determined to drown, you are not obligated to sink with them. Lesson 70-3, being offended is a choice. That realization was liberating. I used to react to every slight, every criticism, every dismissal. But Seneca taught, a wise man is indifferent to that which he cannot control. Offense is not given, it is taken. And you can choose to let go. You can choose to rise above. Power lies not in reaction, but in restraint. Lesson 70- for sometimes, the most spiritual thing you can do is say no. I used to think compassion meant always being available, always saying yes. But boundaries are not unkind, they are sacred. Marcus Aurelius led an empire without becoming a doormat. You can be soft and strong. You can be open and selective. No can be a prayer. No can be love. Lesson 70-5, comfort is not the goal, clarity is. I chased comfort like it was safety. But comfort often kept me small. Seneca believed that hardship is the path to strength. Clarity is not always comfortable, but it is clean. It cuts through fog. It reveals what you have been avoiding. And once you see clearly, you cannot go back to sleep. Lesson 70-6, people remember how you made them feel more than what you said. I used to try so hard to say the right thing, to explain myself perfectly. But Epictetus knew that virtue is expressed through presence, not performance. Your energy is your message. Your tone, your stillness, your truth, they linger longer than your words ever will. Lesson 70-7, just because it hurts does not mean it is wrong. Growth hurts. Truth hurts. Letting go hurts. I used to equate pain with misalignment. But Marcus Aurelius faced death, betrayal, and pressure and still wrote about peace. Pain is a teacher. Do not confuse it with a stop sign. Sometimes, it is proof you are finally doing what needs to be done. Lesson 70-8. Not everyone can walk where you are going. That does not make them wrong, it makes your path different. I tried dragging old relationships into my new life. I tried making everyone understand. But Seneca warned that not all companions are good for your soul. Love them, release them. The journey ahead requires new vision, not old comfort. Lesson 70-9. Peace is not found in answers, it is found in acceptance. I spent years searching for reasons. Why things ended. Why people left. Why life hurt. But Epictetus said, do not seek to have events happen as you want them, but want them to happen as they do. Peace is not an understanding, it is in surrender. Surrender is not weakness. It is wisdom. And Lesson 80, your healing is your responsibility, no one else's. I used to expect people to be more gentle because I was hurting. I wanted the world to adjust for my wounds. But Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Healing is not about fairness. It is about action. You are not to blame for your pain, but you are the one who must rise from it. If even one of these truths caused your breath to pause, sit with it. That pause is sacred. It means your soul is listening. And sometimes, listening is the first step to freedom. The further you walk this path, the more you realize the truths that hurt the most are often the ones you needed all along. These are not just lessons, they are thresholds. And once you cross them, you are never quite the same again. The next 10 oxytruths are not easy to hear. But they are essential if you are serious about becoming who you were always meant to be. Lesson 80-1. Not every battle is yours to fight. I used to jump in trying to defend, fix, or protect others from pain they were meant to face. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you always own the option of having no opinion. You do not have to comment. You do not have to engage. Sometimes love means stepping back and letting others learn in their own time. Lesson 80- to your past is not a prison unless you keep visiting it. I used to replay my mistakes like a loop, reliving the pain, the shame, the regrets. But Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and freedom begins the moment you decide that yesterday does not define you. Learn from it, but do not live there. Lesson 80-3. You do not need a reason to rest. I used to believe I had to earn rest through exhaustion, through achievement, through suffering. But Seneca taught that time is our most precious possession. Rest is not laziness. It is preparation. It is respect. You are allowed to rest simply because you are worthy, not because you are depleted. Lesson 80- for nobody is thinking about you as much as you think they are. That was both painful and freeing. I wasted years worrying about how I was perceived, how I was judged. But Marcus Aurelius said, it never ceases to amaze me we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. Most people are too busy with their own insecurities to obsess over yours. Live boldly, quietly, authentically. Lesson 80-5. Being alone is better than being tolerated. I used to keep people in my life just to avoid the ache of solitude. But that ache taught me more than company ever did. Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself, and you cannot master yourself when you are constantly adjusting to be digestible for others. Choose solitude over smallness. Lesson 80-6. Honesty is not cruelty, but it will feel like it to those who avoid truth. I used to soften everything, water it down, smile through the truth to keep others comfortable. But Seneca wrote that truth is the foundation of virtue. Speak with love, yes. But speak. Let your truth be a lighthouse, not a dagger, but also not a whisper. Lesson 80-7 Jealousy is not about them. It is about your own neglect. I used to envy those who seemed ahead. But when I looked deeper, I saw I was angry at myself for not showing up, for not choosing myself fully. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, if it is endurable, then endure it. If it is not, then stop complaining. Jealousy is a signal. Listen. Then act. Lesson 80-8 You cannot truly grow while clinging to who you used to be. I tried to drag the old me into the new chapter. But Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Growth requires death, the death of your comfort zone, your ego, your past identity. Let the old you rest. The new you is waiting. Lesson 80-9 Closure sometimes sounds like silence. No explanation. No grand final words. Just distance and the quiet confirmation that you are no longer available for chaos. Seneca taught that silence is often the best response to foolishness. If they wanted to understand, they would have. If they wanted to stay, they would have. Let silence speak for you. And listen 90 No one is coming to save you. That sounds cold, but it is the beginning of real power. I used to wait. For timing, for help, for someone to finally get it. But Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, and loss without complaint. Why? Because he knew responsibility is the highest freedom. When you stop waiting to be rescued, you start trying. If these lessons echoed through the halls of your past or the edges of your present, hold them. Let them settle in. Let them work on you slowly. This is not just about learning, it is about becoming. The closer you get to truth, the quieter it becomes. No applause. No dramatic revelation. Just a shift take lick inside your soul where things finally make sense. And sometimes, those shifts come from words you were not ready to hear. Until life made you ready. These next lessons may still sound toxic to some. But to those walking through fire, they feel like water. Lesson 90-1 Your healing will trigger those who benefited from your brokenness. I used to think that healing would bring peace to every relationship. But Marcus Aurelius warned that not all companions are meant to walk with you through every chapter. When you grow, you disrupt the systems that kept you small. Do not dim your light to protect their comfort. Lesson 90-2 Emotional independence is not detachment, it is maturity. I thought I needed constant reassurance to feel loved. I believed that if someone really cared, they would fix my emotions. But Epictetus taught that freedom begins within. The more you master your own mood, your own meaning, the less power others have over your peace. Lesson 90-3 Healing is not always visible. I thought healing would look like joy, lightness, glowing skin. But sometimes, it looks like tears on the kitchen floor. Sometimes it is choosing not to text back. Sometimes, it is going to bed early instead of scrolling through nostalgia. Seneca reminded us that progress is often silent. Do not judge your journey by appearance. Feel it instead. Lesson 90- for some relationships, and not because of hate, but because of growth. That confused me for a long time. I thought love was enough to keep people together. But Marcus Aurelius said, what stands in the way becomes the way. When you grow, the space between you and others shifts. It does not mean they are wrong. It does not mean you are better. It just means your paths no longer align. Lesson 90-5 Expecting others to give you what you have not given yourself is a recipe for resentment. I craved loyalty while betraying my own standards. I wanted to be chosen while abandoning myself. Epictetus would ask, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? Begin with you. Always. Lesson 90-6. Not having an opinion is sometimes the highest form of strength. I used to feel the need to respond, to weigh in, to take a side. But Marcus Aurelius mastered silence. He understood that peace often comes from staying out of drama. You are allowed to choose neutrality not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Lesson 90-7. Being needed is not the same as being loved. I confuse codependency for connection. I thought if someone could not live without me, that meant I mattered. But Seneca warned of attachments that drain rather than nourish. True love adds without stealing. It complements without consuming. Lesson 90-8. Nobody owes you understanding. That one broke my pride. I believe my intentions should be obvious. That if people misunderstood me, it was their fault. But Epictetus taught, it is not events that disturb us, but our view of them. You are not here to be explained. You are here to be expressed. Understanding is a gift, not a requirement. Lesson 90-9. You will outgrow versions of yourself you once prayed to become. I used to look back and wonder why I no longer resonated with the dreams I once chased. But that is growth. That is proof you are evolving. Marcus Aurelius reflected daily on impermanence. Who you are today is not a betrayal of who you were, it is the fulfillment of what you were meant to become. And finally, Lesson 100. Your peace is more important than your potential. I used to chase productivity, perfection, performance. But Seneca said it best, he who is everywhere is nowhere. What is the point of reaching your goals if you lose your soul in the process? Protect your peace not just for rest, but as a foundation for everything you build from here. If these final truths reached a part of you that words really touch, honor that. Share this message with someone who is walking their own hard road. Sometimes, all it takes is one brave truth to reroute a life. So now you have heard them. 100 lessons. 100 truths the world might call toxic, negative, or too harsh. But if you listen closely, not just with your ears, but with your lived experience, then you know these lessons are anything but poisonous. They are antidotes. Antidotes to naivety. To people minus pleasing. To the slow erosion of self that happens when you live only to be liked, not to be real. You see, life does not reward the innocent. It rewards the aware. Not the loudest, not the softest, but the clearest. And clarity, more often than not, comes through fire. It comes through the relationship that broke you. The betrayal you never saw coming. The night you sat alone wondering if it was all your fault. These were not detours. They were directions. They pointed you to the parts of yourself you were avoiding. And if you listened to every one of those lessons and thought, that sounds cold, ask yourself, cold to whom? Cold to the version of you that kept tolerating what should have been released. Cold to the comfort zone that was slowly killing your joy. Cold to the stories you outgrew long ago but kept reciting out of fear? Then maybe it is not coldness. Maybe it is clarity dressed in steel. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That line is not about morality. It is about embodiment. Stop talking. Start becoming. You already know what you must do. The lessons were never the point. Your response to them is. The hardest truths always leave a mark. Not a scar, because scars are reminders of damage. No, these truths leave carvings. They reshape the structure of how you think, how you walk, how you breathe. You are not the same person who pressed play on this video. And that is the point. If even a small part of you feels shaken, good. That means the foundation you were standing on had cracks. And you deserve better footing. You deserve strength born from insight, not illusion. You deserve peace that does not depend on silence or permission. You deserve to build your life, not just survive it. So take a breath. Let it land. Let it sit where it needs to. Do not rush to share it. Do not rush to fix everything. Let this moment be enough for now. Because sometimes, the most radical thing you can do is pause and decide to never go back to who you were before you knew better. This is where we end and begin. The final chapter is not about applause or insight. It is about integration. Because wisdom is not in the knowing. It is in the doing. The point was never to memorize a list of 100 lessons. It was to see yourself in them. To feel where they land. To let them challenge the narratives you have carried for too long. What now? Now you live them. Quietly. Steadily. You wake up tomorrow and speak less, but mean more. You listen not to reply, but to understand. You say no with softness and yes with certainty. You stop trying to fix broken things that do not want to be whole. You stop expecting closure from conversations that have already ended in spirit. You stop demanding life to be easy and instead train your soul to be strong. The ancient Stoics, Marcus, Epictetus, Seneca, they never promised comfort. What they promised was resilience, clarity, purpose. The ability to walk through chaos and remain unmoved, not because you feel nothing, but because you are anchored in something deeper than circumstance. You will still stumble. You will still forget. That is part of it. But now you have language. You have tools. You have reminders etched not just in your mind, but in your choices. Every time you resist reacting, every time you protect your peace, every time you walk away from what no longer serves you, that is the lesson living through you. This was never about becoming perfect. It was about becoming real. And real is often misunderstood. Real is often lonely. But real is where freedom begins. It is where life softens, even in its hardness. It is where you meet yourself without flinching. If this journey meant something to you, do not let it end here. Revisit it when the world gets loud again. Share it with someone who is silently drowning in their own illusions. And above all, remember this: you are never too much, too late, or too broken. You are simply waiting to remember the truths you always knew, buried beneath the noise, beneath the need to be anything other than who you already are. Walk forward now. Slowly but without hesitation. The world does not need more perfect people. It needs more honest ones. And if you are reading this, you are already becoming one. Thank you for listening with your mind, your heart, and your lived experience. This is not the end. It is the return to yourself.